am gonna move not too fast, but I'm gonna move at a pretty consistent pace because I already did an accessibility workshop on making a Word document accessible. So that's kind of the first step to creating an accessible PDF, is creating an accessible Word document. So when I go through that part, I'm gonna go through it pretty quickly. If you have a question, just stop me. It is already recorded and I will show you all. Actually, that's something I wanted to show you, where to get that, because I've had people ask me where the recordings are. So I'll just show you where I go to get them, how I get there. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Oh, okay. So you all can see my my Word document, correct? Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna move this screen over. This is where I go to get recordings. So I log into Cougar Web, and then then I go to faculty, and I scroll. Everything is moving slow today. And I scroll down to e-learning centers. And then I scroll to Center for Teaching and Learning, which is over here on the side, Center for Teaching and Learning. And then recordings is the 5th little tab over here on the left. Click this, and then you can click here, and it'll open an Excel sheet with links to all the recordings that Allison has posted, and including the one I just did last week. But you can get all the recordings she's posted. They go back pretty far. So this is how you get there. Okay, so I suggest if you feel like I was moving too fast through the creating the accessible Word document, go back and look at the one I just did, which is slightly different from the one I did last summer because I try to add new things, as things change. Okay, so I did want to show you all that. Also want to show y'all something else. Make my screen larger. So for those of you who don't have Adobe Acrobat Pro, let's see, you go to, I had to write it down because I did it before. So my workplace tab in Cougar Web, and then you can scroll down here, all the way down. It says Adobe Creative Cloud, and you're gonna need to click on this because you won't have all the tools. So we're gonna use the accessibility tool when we're doing this in Adobe. And if you haven't done this part already, then you won't have those tools. It is recorded, so you can go back and follow along. But I did want to show you all where to go for that. And then you would need to sign in and enter your information. And then you'd end up with Adobe, and I'm opening, this is mine and I've opened it. But if I click on this little blue thing right here, it says who I am, kbrand@collin.edu, and I have access to many more tools, most importantly, the accessibility tool. Okay. Y'all have any questions about that? Look at the chat. Thank you for putting this in here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this Word document, and I'm going to go through and basically correct everything. I'm going to explain it as I'm going along. First, I'm going to show you how to create an accessible Word document pretty quickly because I've already went over it, because that's the first step to create an accessible PDF. So there were questions last time about caps, all caps. A screen reader will read words that are all capitalized as words. It tries to distinguish between words and acronyms. So if it's an acronym, it'll read it as an acronym, but it does read all caps words as words. So it would read this as accessibility workshops. And we'll see that because I'll play, and when I go to Adobe, I'll play the, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it can read things back to you. All right, so first thing I want to do, and this is the old Microsoft Word. If you have the new one, you can still find things the same way. Oh, it's called Screen Reader. Okay. So here I have this styles section up here. and I'm going to open the panel because it just makes it so much easier for me. So when you are creating a PDF, PDFs like titles. So you can create a Word document and not have a title and it'll be 100% accessible. When you create a PDF, it's going to say this document doesn't have a title, and that's an easy fix. I'll show you how to fix it if that's like the only thing that's wrong with your PDF, because you might be downloading PDFs, but I'll also show you how to do it here. So I'm going to click on this heading, Accessible Workshops, and I'm going to go to Title. Now, that's a little bit different than what Adobe wants. So for Adobe, I'm going to go to File, and right here, I'm already in Info. Over here, I deleted my title earlier. So in this title right here, I'm going to type accessible Word documents. This is what Adobe's going to recognize. It's going to recognize this title. It's not going to recognize this title, but Word will. And I like having titles in my documents, so I always have titles. I also like subtitles, so I'm going to click Subtitle here. If I didn't do this, the screen reader would read this just fine, but it wouldn't be able to tell someone who's using it, is this a heading? Is this a list? They wouldn't be able to search it. Like we have a table of contents, they wouldn't be able to search it. It would just be a page full of words, just a string of words, okay? So it's good to tell your, when you're thinking about accessibility, you're telling screen readers, this is what this is. So this is going to be my first heading, and headings need to go in order. So my first heading, your first heading is always heading 1. So, wait, let's see, subtitle, heading 1. And then this is going to be heading 2. This is going to stay a paragraph. When it's a paragraph, it just says normal. Then we're going to go down here. This is going to be heading 3 because it goes under tips on creating accessible PDFs. So these are different things like headings, subheadings under that. So this will be heading 3 because you have to go in order. And this is supposed to be a list. But if we look at it over here in the styles column, it says normal, which means it's a paragraph. But we want it as a list. We want it to actually say that it's a list. I can do this one or two ways. I prefer to just highlight it and go up here where in this paragraph section and just, this is a bullet list. If I usually just use numbers if it has to go in a sequential order, but this doesn't. This is just a bullet list. So I can click this. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's moving really slow today. So I do apologize for that. And I'm going to move this over just out of preference. I don't like a lot of indentation just because I like the way it looks without it. You could, and you'll see over here in the styles column, it now says list paragraph. I could have highlighted that and clicked list paragraph, but it wouldn't put bullets or numbers or anything like that. So it would still be identified as a list, but for visual learners, it would just look weird. It would just kind of look like it's just indented over. And for references, it doesn't look weird, but for list, we like to have bullets or numbers or letters or something. Alternative text is also a heading. We're still on heading 3 because it goes under tips on creating accessible PDFs, which is heading 2. So this is all your headings have to be in order. And if they're not, it will flag it. It will let you know, especially in Adobe, it'll tell you that something's wrong with your headers. So for images, for tables, for charts, for graphs, you want alt text. And so you can just right click on this image and go to edit alt text. And then you can add your text here. So I'm going to actually copy this. So I'm going to do 2 things because, let's see, because, okay, there it is. So now that's there. You can do it that way. You can add alt text. But if you have a caption, you could actually just mark the image as decorative and your caption will be read. It's the same information. I don't recommend using both. I really don't, because you're saying the same thing over. Now, if your image, if you just have a short description for your image, but then in your caption, you give way more description and much more detail, then do both. But if it's the exact same thing, pick one or the other. Because if you leave the image without marking it decorative, it's going to keep asking you for alt text. So pick a caption, pick your caption or your alt text, because for me, my caption and my alt text would be the same. So I actually want to add a caption to this image as well. So I go to insert caption and I want to add this. So I'm going to copy this again. But now a screen reader is going to read the exact same thing twice. So just be mindful, you know, because you might like having captions on your page for your visual learners, and then you have your picture. So if you're going to have captions, mark your pictures as decorative so that it's not read twice. Okay. Just as I was listening to this, I'm like, oh, it's reading it 2 times. And it kind of takes going through and hearing it yourself to go, okay, that doesn't sound good. Let's see, I have something in the chat, of course. So now I have it in both places. So we'll read it twice and you'll see, because I'll play it back to you at some point. So I'm gonna delete this because I have it as a alt text and as a caption. Bookmarks is also gonna be heading 3. So sometimes you have to remember, where am I? So I go back up, I'm like, oh, that's heading 3. This is also heading 3. Because all of these subtitles or subheadings go under tips on creating accessible PDFs. Okay, this is still a paragraph. This is heading 3. This is a paragraph. Heading 3. Paragraph. Creating and fixing tables is also heading 3. And I already have a list under here that's recognized as a list because I added bullets. So it automatically shows up over here under styles as list paragraph. Okay. Now, summary of graded work actually goes under creating and fixing tables. So this is going to be the next level down, which would be heading 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and do final grade as heading 4 as well. I'm going to do all the headers. I'm going to go back up and fix the table. Formatting list is actually heading 3. It doesn't go, it's not a subheader for creating and fixing tables. So this is actually heading 3. Tips on creating accessible PowerPoints and Word documents. This is actually heading 2. This would be on the same level as, if I go up here, tips on creating accessible PDFs, okay, which is heading 2. And my references would also be heading 2. There's only one heading 1, by the way, one heading 1. Now, if you don't like it made this go to the left side, you can make it bold, you can change the color, you can center it, you can do whatever you want to do with your headings. Just make sure that they are identified or labeled as headings. I'm going to take the bold off though. Okay, so it doesn't have to be blue, it doesn't have to be these colors. You can do whatever you want as far as how you want to present this, but just know that if you bold, if you highlight, if you underline, if you italicize, that a screen reader will not recognize that as setting that header or title or subtitle apart. Okay. So let's go back up to this table. So all tables need alt text. They also need to have a header row at minimum. Some tables have a header column. And you do this differently in Word and PDF. If you're creating the document, I promise you, it is 100 times easier to do it in Word. PDF, you'll get used to it if you're using Adobe Acrobat all the time, but it's so much easier to just do it here. So what we're going to do, you click on your table, anywhere on your table, and at the top, let's see, hold on. Okay, so at the top you have table tools, and this table doesn't have a header row or header column. All right, it's not marked, but over here on the left in the upper corner, I'm going to mark header row. So now it's going to recognize that first row as a header row. I also have a header column, which is chapter, quizzes, labs, discussion, midterm, final exam. So I'm going to do the first column. Okay. Now I'm going to right click this table and I'm going to go to table properties. And under, let's see, under row, the most important thing to check here is repeat as header row at the top of each page. So when you're teaching and you have like your course schedule, sometimes that course schedule is 2 pages long. And so what marking repeat as header row at the top of each page does is it keeps that header row every time you go to another page so students aren't confused. Your header column is going to be there anyway. You can also allow row to break across pages. Some people don't like that because it doesn't look good. So you don't have to have that marked. It's not going to change anything with this one because this table is so short. So it's not breaking across pages anyway. So that's important to know. For alt text, I'm going to give this a title, and the title is Summary of Graded Work. Now, there's some repetitiveness going on here because a screen reader is going to read Summary of Graded Work as I have it set in the Word document as header 4, and then it's going to, for my table, it's going to say it again. So make sure, you don't want to, I like to say pick a struggle. So you want this information to get across, you can get it across in many different ways. So pick what works for you, okay? Description, so I have under here, under this table, I have summary of all graded items in this course and their value in terms of the final course grade. So I'm actually going to copy this instead of typing it so we don't waste any time, because this is my description. And then I'm going to go back to my table, right click, go to table properties, alt text, and I'm going to add that description. And I'm going to hit OK. And now I can delete this from there. Okay. So if I didn't put a, let's see, how can I say this? I actually think it's better to use table properties and add your title that way and not have to have it like, here as a header, but it just depends on what you prefer. So the next table actually only has a header row. So I'm clicking anywhere on the table, then I'm going to go up to the top where it says table tools because it highlights that. And it already has it marked as a header row, so that's good. I made sure of that. I'm going to right click this table, go to table properties. I already have a title, final grade, and I have a description in here. As far as row, I have repeat as header row at the top of each page. Okay. All right, so here's another list. This list, if I click on anything in this list and I go over to the styles column, it's not marking it as a list. So this isn't highlighted. So I'm going to highlight this list, all three these items, and I'm going to add bullet points to it. Now it shows up as a list, and I'm going to move it over. So it will be read as a list. This heading is correct. This is heading 2 because it doesn't fall under any of these previous headings. It's actually a whole nother section on the same level as tips on creating accessible PDFs. This one is tips on creating accessible PowerPoints and Word documents. References is also heading 2. Now with references, we like spaces. I know APA is what I use and we like spaces. So I'm going to show you really quickly how I have those spaces without having blank, 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 because a screen reader is going to read it as blank. You can get rid of the blanks by simply deleting the tag in Adobe, and I'll show you how to do that. And in Microsoft Word, you can get rid of the spaces, I'm going to say air quotes, because you're not really getting rid of them for visual learners, but you are getting rid of them for a screen reader so it doesn't read blank. So I'm going to highlight this entire section of references, and I'm going to right click and go to paragraph, and then paragraph. I'm going to go down. I'm going to leave it alignment at left. Under indentation, I'm going to go over to where it says special, and I'm going to go to hanging, because with APA, I don't know, MLA, we don't use that in anthropology. So you do what works for you, but this is how APA generally works. It's left for the first line and then indented for the rest of it. So for special, I'm going to go to hanging, and it has over here 0.5, which works for me. So I'm not going to change that. For spacing, I like 8. You can play around with this number, but 8 is my number. And this is the space between the lines, not between each reference. This is just between the lines. So for line spacing, I'm going to go to multiple. And then the lucky number here is 1.08. And then I'm going to hit OK. Now these spaces are really big. So now I'm going to delete all unnecessary spacing. I did this on purpose. So I'm going to hit delete. So it's going to bring it up. And then eventually, so did I get all these spaces? Yeah. So eventually, if you see here, there's a space between each reference, and I can't click on it. I can't put my cursor on it, which lets me know it's not going to be read by a screen reader. Okay. So And that space is there because of that 1.08, that number that I entered in. So you can make those spaces as big as you like. So you can play around with it and see what you like. You can also make the space between your references smaller. If that's what you prefer, I can change these numbers. Let's see, what if I put 20? What would happen? Okay, so that's the space between each reference. I said that wrong. I'm glad I did that. So when you go to paragraphs, the first number, this number over here is the space between each reference. The one for spacing, and then after, that's the space between each reference. The 1.08 is the spacing between the lines. So if as you can see, it's getting wider and wider on the bottom in the preview when I mess with this number, okay? So I'm gonna change this back. And that's how you do that. So now this should be a completely accessible file. So the next step is you can check your accessibility, see if you got everything right. Because we added those headings and titles, this is what happens over in the navigation pane, which is like a table of contents for screen readers. So now there's workshops, there's tips, there's everything that falls under tips on creating accessible PDFs. All the subheadings, which would be header 3, they're showing up under that heading. Creating and fixing is also one of those, but it had its own sections, which were summary of graded work, and then final grade. And then we move back to heading 3 for formatting list, and then tips on creating accessible PDFs references. That's why this is important. It doesn't just help people who use screen readers, but it helps us too, because if this document were 30, 40, 50 pages long and you knew exactly where you wanted to go, instead of scrolling the whole time on the side, you could just click over here. So let's go to review. Check accessibility, and it says no accessibility issues found. People with disabilities should not have difficulty reading this document. So this is a good sign. We are going to play around with it and put both documents in Ally and see what Ally shows. We'll do that a little towards the end. So now that you've created an accessible Word document and you've included that title, so you don't have to deal with that because it will catch it every time, then you want to go to Home here at the top, and you want to click on Create and Share Adobe PDF. You don't want to go to File, Save As, or Save as Adobe PDF. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you hit Create and Share Adobe PDF, because when you use Create instead of Save As, it will save all of your headings. It will save all of your list. It will save all of your formatting. Your accessible formatting will go with that PDF, okay? They are not the same thing. So I'm going to click Create and Share Adobe PDF. It's popping up on my other screen, so I'll move it over here so you can see what happens. So it says Adobe PDF Maker needs to save the file before continuing. Do you want PDF to save the file and continue? Yes. And now it's going to make me a PDF. So I'm going to change this because this PDF is actually accessible now. So I'm going to type accessible. I'm going to save it. And it's going to open it in Adobe Acrobat. And I'm going to run the accessibility checker, and it should all say that it's fine. Then we're going to take the same PDF we're going to take the same document that I didn't fix in Word. That's a PDF, so it has all the same problems, and we're going to do it in Adobe. Okay? Because you can do this many different ways. So here's this document now that it created for me. If you do not have the accessibility tool, I use it all the time, so it's already here. I did delete it, but I was just playing with it, so it's here. You could just click on More Tools, and that's after you log in. You have to log in to have access to Adobe Acrobat Pro. You can ask IT to help you, but it's a really easy process. So you won't be able to access these tools if you haven't done that, but they are available to you through Collin College. So you click on More Tools, and the accessibility app is right here. Open, mine's already there, so I don't need to open it. So I'm going to go back to this document. I do have some other documents open because they're all examples. So now I'm going to go to this accessibility checker, and I'm going to click on accessibility check. You can do this for any PDF that you create or that you download from another site. Okay, click on accessibility check, and it pretty much keep everything the way it is. You want all of these checked, everything's good. Start checker, and it's telling me that I have 2 issues. So I like to open up all of these, especially if it has something on it. These don't have anything on it, which let me know that the document is accessible. So it's gonna always tell you to check your reading order, because it can't tell you if your reading order is correct or not. That's up for you to do. So this is not telling you that you have an issue with reading order. This is just telling you that you need to make sure that it's correct. And one way to do that is to click on this on the right-hand side in this pane. You can click reading order, or something I like to do, you go to view, show hide, navigation pane, and then you can add things that you might not already have. If you're following along with me and you don't have these over here on the far right side, then you can add order, the order shortcut. You can also add a bookmark shortcut, a tag shortcut. These are things that I'm definitely going to use today. So those will be 3 that you need to add. Mine are already there, so I don't need to do that. So I can click on reading order, and it's going to show me how it's going to be read chronologically, like, you know, I could say chronologically. Okay. So first, second, third, fourth, this is all good stuff. It's showing me that it's reading it in the right way. But then I have this over here in the corner. What is this? This 8, I left that there on purpose because it didn't actually show me that there was anything wrong with this, but this number 8 is just a blank space, and it's going to be read as a blank space. So if this is acting right, because I tried to fix it earlier, you can click on it. And I'm gonna, okay. I think one of my screens is frozen. Try this again. I'm gonna move this over to this screen. I'm gonna move you all over to my other screen because it's not letting me drag my reading. Oh, there it is. It let me drag it. It's me. It's not my computer. Let's go again. Okay, so this will show up. Let's see, let me close this. I'm going to open it a different way. All right, so all of these are numbered here. That. This. So normally, and it was doing this earlier. I have another page where I can show you how to remove this. But you can remove it if you go to tags. So each tag is corresponding to everything on this page. So in Adobe, it already has a title, and you can check the title by going to File, Properties page, and go to Description. So it's already, it kept the title from my Word document. So we're good there. Language is something that you always want to make is okay as well. So this is English. Maybe your article is in a different language, so make sure that that's correct. And you can go to Document Properties and click on Advanced and change the language. Okay, so that's all good. So here on this screen, I'm actually workshops. Oh, sorry, I still have my read aloud on. Let me turn that off. Okay, so in Adobe Acrobat, it's okay to have what we would consider the title in Word still labeled as a paragraph because there's no title option. And I'll show you. So if I right click this paragraph tab and I go to properties, it gives me all the different options for any kind of information that I've included on this page. And it's in alphabetical order. So what we don't see is title. Okay, so title's not something that you can select a section in Adobe and call it a title. You actually just have to go to File and tell it what the title is, type the title in, okay? So in Adobe, this is okay as a paragraph. This is also okay as a paragraph. If I click here, each time I click on one of these, it's gonna highlight it. P is for paragraph. Tags is where you're gonna spend most of your time fixing things, honestly. So this is a paragraph, this is header 1. we marked it as header 1, so it's showing up correctly. We marked this as header 2, it's showing up correctly. This is a paragraph, and so we can see that it's actually showing up correctly, okay? So now this is that weird space. I can delete this. So I can delete it in tags. I don't know why it wasn't letting me change it in reading order, but maybe I'll get it to work in a second. But I can right click and then I can go to delete tag. And now that's not there anymore. So it's good to know how to do things a couple different ways. It's good to familiarize yourself with reading order and tags, because sometimes stuff doesn't do what you want it to do and you might have to use something else to get it done. All right, so we have a list that's recognized as a list, header 3, my figure. Okay. So let's see, paragraph under it. So this is treating this as a paragraph. I could change this to a caption by clicking properties, and I could go here under type, tag, and then type, and I can scroll up and I can choose caption. I'm not going to do that, but I could. Okay. If that's what you wanted to do, you could do that in Adobe as well. Header 3, paragraph. So this is your way to check and make sure, okay, everything went over correctly. And for those things that you missed, so accessibility checker didn't tell me, oh, there's a blank space in your document. Neither did the accessibility checker here. So those are things that you're looking for. Even if it says this is all good, go through your document and make sure that everything that needs to be there is there. Okay, and that there's nothing extra hanging out that would be annoying for a screen reader. And so you can click on all of these and just kind of keep going down the list. All right, you have your table. I'm going to do that in the next one. So, but it's showing as a table, which is good. Header, table, header, list. Just keep going. All this looks good. So this document is great. Now let's look at the same document. That's not great. This is the exact same document that we started with as a Word. Now it's PDF. So if you start with someone sends you a PDF, or you download a PDF and you want to use it in your class, and you click the accessibility checker and you start checking and you get a ton of errors, right? You didn't create the original document. You could request it, but that might take forever. So you might just want to fix it. If you can fix it, there are some documents are locked. And if they are locked, you cannot fix them. And I do have a solution for that if it works. I would say link them to the actual page where you got the document in Conlin College Library, because sometimes if it has an HTML, it will have a section where it can just say listen in it, and it'll read the document to them. And that's one way to get around that. If it doesn't have that, then maybe just provide a summary of it so that your individuals who are using screen readers know the pertinent information. Okay. So sometimes you do run into that. I don't know why people lock them. I don't get it, but I've ran into that a couple of times. So some things you can fix really quickly when you hit that accessibility check, and you don't have to go to tags. You don't have to go to reading order to do it. One of them is the title. So you could go to file, remember file, properties, and I can, under description, I can add a title. I could do that there. But I'm not. I'm going to show you a shortcut. So I could just right click on title and hit fix. And then it's going to have a title here. This is from another article that I was in earlier. That's not the title I want. So I'm going to take this title out and I'm going to change it. Let's see. Accessible. I'm going to make it accessible PDFs. I can also add something here in the subject line. I can add keywords. If you uncheck the box, you can add keywords. You can do all kinds of stuff. I'd already added the author, so I'm going to leave it as is. And I'm done. All right. So that's always nice. So now that one's fixed. And so it doesn't have that red, fix me mark over there. So now I open up the alt text. So I open this up and it's saying that I have a figure, figures alt text failed. So it's telling me that I have a figure here that does not have alt text. So if I click on this, it highlights the figure. Sometimes publishers have like logos all over the document and they're going to come up as figures. Mark them as decorative. They're not important. You don't want the screen reader to keep reading them. So you can just mark them as decorative and it won't read them. That's something that you really need to do because it can be really annoying in a document. So I can right click figure as well, and I can click fix. And these are some shortcuts, and I can just type chimpanzees grooming each other in a tree. Or I could mark as decorative. All right, if you mark it as decorative, it will be skipped by a screen reader. You only use that when it's not important, when it's not important information, not when you just don't want to make an alternate text, okay? All right, and if I had more images, it would have allowed me to hit next, 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 and kind of scroll throughout the entire document just using that. But I only have one. And then it says I have some table issues. So let's see, what's that about? Some headers failed, and I do know what this is about. So if you have a pen and paper, you might want to write this down because tables in Adobe are a bit interesting. So I cannot fix this here. Unlike my title and my figures with alt text, I can't fix this there's no shortcut for fixing tables in this page, okay, in the accessibility checker column, all right? But I can fix it in tags right here. So I'm gonna click on tags. I have a lot of stuff to fix. But we're going to go straight down to the table. It is recognized as a table, which is a good start. Okay, this is my first table. When I click on it, it highlights everything in this table. I need to tell Adobe that this first row is my header row and that this first column is my header column. And I also need to tell Adobe that all the other cells are just data. Okay, so I can do that by right clicking on table, and then I'm going to go to table editor. Table editor is going to open up. Now, if you don't see like TD and letters next to yours, right click on this table and then go to table editor options. And you can tell it to show you cells with missing header. So if I unclick that, it's not going to show me. Let's see. Let me do it again. And table editor. Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one. I meant to say down here, show cell type. So if I unclick this label option, it won't show TD or any of that. You really want that label option clicked. So I'm going to show you how to do that one more time. So right click table, go to table editor, and then on your table, right click the actual table, go to table editor options, and then click show cell type. Because TH means table header. It's letting you know that it's either header row or header column. TD means table data. So it's just a data cell. Okay. So, well, this is wrong because this is a header and it's saying TD. So how do we fix that? So now that we've already opened up table editor, I can click on it and hold down the shift key. Wait, let's see. And click this top row. And then right click and go to table cell properties. And when this page pops up, these are header cells. So I'm going to click header cell, and then I'm going to tell it if it's a row or column. This is a row. Now it's going to leave one that's still going to say TD. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's easy to fix. So I have table header, then I have TD for table data. That's incorrect. And then table header. I'm just going to click on this one, do the same thing, right click. You can do it individual or you can do it as a group. And I'm going to click table cell properties like we did before, table cell, row. It's the exact same process. Same process for table columns. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and keep clicking. Right click, table cell properties. And these are header cells as well, but they are column, like header columns. So I'm going to click on column. So these should all change to table header. For some reason, it's like one that's always not there. Make sure you're looking at those letters. So this still says table data, which is not good. So I'm going to go do the same process again. Right click it, table cell properties, header cell, header column, scope column. So now I'm going to look through here and make sure everything is labeled correctly. So this first row all says TH for table header. This first column all says TH for table header column. And then all the information is labeled TD for data. That's correct. That's a good table. I can also add alt text. I can add a title to this table. If I go back to my accessibility tags for this table and I right click on table and I click on properties, I can add a title for this table. So I'm going to call it summary of graded work. Okay. I can also add, let's see, I don't know why it's not letting me add alt. Oh, it's okay. So you can add actual text. You can add a description here. But I'm not going to add it. Well, I could. I'll go back and add a description. But right now we've added a title. And the nice thing about the titles for tables is it'll show up over here on the side. Table summary of graded work. Okay. So if I wanted to add summary of all graded items in this course, I could highlight that or just remember it. Let's see. It's me. I can go back to this table and go to table properties. Oh, I should have added it. And let's see if I can edit this tag. That's the worst way to do it. So we'll do it on the next one because it's much easier to just undo what I did and then start over. But I'll show you how to add that on the next one, on the next table. And you can also just keep it here at the bottom, and you could actually label what's there as a caption. So let's see, make sure it pulls up. So this paragraph is highlighting summary of graded items. So I could right click, go to properties, and label it as a caption as well, if I wanted to. Okay. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it as a paragraph. Okay. So this is incorrect. This header is incorrect. We're going to fix headers. So I'm going to go back to the top of this document and we're going to go through and we're going to fix all these little things. Okay. So, but I did want to go through tables, and we'll go through tables again because I have one more table. So again, the title here is showing up as a paragraph. That's fine. What I need to make sure is that under file properties, I have a paragraph, I have a title, and I do because I typed that in. So we do have a title, so we're good there. Collin College is a paragraph. Workshops, we said before that workshops was a header. So there are a couple ways to change this. All headers are just a capital H and then you put a number after it. If you don't remember that, you can just right click, go to properties, and then scroll up to the header that you want, header level 1, and it'll put H1 in that space and hit close. Okay. There's only one H1, by the way. And so this next one, it's tips on creating accessible PDFs. If you want to do the shortcut, just erase the P and just add H2. So now that's header 2. This is correct. It's a paragraph. So we're going to keep that as a paragraph. This is not correct. This is a header. And this is actually header 3 because it goes under tips on creating accessible PDFs. So this is going to be H3. Okay. Now we need to make a list because this is not recognized as a list. It's where all of these lines are recognized, or items are recognized as paragraphs. We need to make this into a list. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go to the header that the list falls under. And I need to tell this header by right clicking it that I need a new tag. Okay. So I need a new tag and I need a list tag because there's many options under here, but I need a list tag. So I'm going to click list, and then I'm going to click OK. And a new list is going to appear. It highlights everything, but click on the L, the list that you just marked, and there's nothing there. If you click on the header, that's still there. So now we need to tell this list that doesn't have anything under it what goes under it. So this says paragraph. So I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to hit control. So I'm going to click on one and then I'm going to hit the control button and I'm going to highlight every item in that list. Okay, these 4. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to properties. And I'm going to label these not as a list, but as a list item. Okay, list item. And then I'm going to close. And now we see these list items, but these list items are at the same level as list. They're not actually under the list, and I need them to be under the list. So I'm going to drag them until they show that they are under. This line right here is shorter. So if you drag it and it's the same length, then it's going to stay where it is. But if I drag it and I make sure that line shrinks and gets smaller and it's right under the L, then now it's under that. Okay. And now we have a list. All right. I also tend to take the list and put it under the heading like this. That's just me. You don't have to. I like to do that. The list is still there, but now it's under this header. We have a list and these are the items. Okay. All right. Any questions? I know I'm moving through this. Any questions? Is everybody following? We're going to go over the table thing again because I do have another table. Can you all hear me still? Yeah. Okay, good. Because I know this, I'm nervous because my computer's been doing weird things today. Okay, great. All right. So now we have another header that is marked as a paragraph. So we need to change that to H3. Okay, because that still falls under tips on creating accessible PDFs, which is H2. So every heading under it is H3. It's the next level. Okay. And then we have that weird paragraph thing showing up again, right? And so in tags, you see this where it's marked like purple. That's nothing. That's just a space. And so we need to delete it. So I just right click and I just click delete tag and it's gone. All right. So now we have our header, alternative text. We have our figure. We have another paragraph that I can change to caption if I want. So I'll go ahead, go to properties and play around with this. Just look and see what's available to you because you have annotations, you have bibliography, entry, you have a lot of things over here that you can play with. Okay. I'm going to change it to a caption. And I'm going to type the caption in. But remember, there's already alternative text for this figure. So, like I said earlier, pick a struggle, pick one or the other. If you choose not to use alt text, mark it as a decorative because it will read figure one, chimpanzee, blah, blah, blah. It will read, the information is still getting across. So I would probably just remove the caption personally. But when you are using an article that you didn't create, this is what you run into. So many times I just, mark the image as decorative because it's going to read what's in the figure, the information that's in the figure, but you can copy it and put it in the image as well. Yeah, that's what I tell my niece and nephews. Pick a struggle. Okay. Let's type chimpanzees grooming each other in a tree. Okay. And if you want to know how it's being read, I'll show you how to listen to it yourself. So you can say, oh, that's reading it twice. I'm going to delete one of those. Okay. All right. So the next one is marked as paragraph. That should be a header. So that's going to be H3. Make these all caps again. This is paragraph. That's correct. This is a header, H3. So I'm going to move a little bit faster through this because we already know this part. I'm just fixing them. So the next one is paragraph. That's correct. This is a header, H3. And we have a paragraph, correct. A header, H3 again. And then we have a list. So I already had a list that was correct in the original document. So it's reading it as a list. So if I click this arrow, it's going to show that it has the list items under it. So I click on each one, it's there. I'm just going to move this entire list under this header because right now it's at the same level. So I'm going to move it under the header. Okay. All right. I don't even know if that's necessary. I just like doing it. So summary of graded work. I'm going to change that. This is actually a heading under creating and fixing tables. So this is going to be H4 like it was in the Word document. Okay. Again, there's some repetitiveness here, right? Because I gave this table the same title. So, you can switch that up. I'm going to, let's see, go to table properties. I'm going to go to summary of all graded items in this course, and I am going to change it to a caption. Hold on, let me copy it so I don't have to type it. Okay. Copy. Oh no. Oh, back properties. Here we go. Caption. I think I want to put it under actual text. Okay, so final grade is showing up as a paragraph. It is not. It is actually also a subheading under creating and fixing tables. So it's going to be H4. All right. This table needs some work. So we're going to right click table. We're going to go to table editor. And as we can see, everything in this table is marked as a header, and that's not correct. So we need to mark these cells as table data. So I'm just going to click on them, hold the control key down, well, the shift key, sorry, and click on all the ones that are supposed to be table data, and then right click table cell properties and click the data cell. And click OK. I still have a Lone Ranger over here that I need to fix. So table cell properties, table data, click OK. And then just go through and double check. These are all saying table header, that's good. I actually don't have a header column here, so this also needs to be changed as well. These are also table data. I only have a header row. So the only thing that should have TH for table header should be a header row, which should be points, percentages, and letter grades. I can also add a title to this table, calling it final grade. Now remember, it's going to say it twice now. So choose which one you want and go with that. So this heading, now we're back at header 3 because formatting list doesn't fall under creating and fixing tables. Okay, it's its own, it goes with the previous information. So it's going to be H3. And then I need to make this section a list. Okay, make this section a list. So let's see. So I'm going to show you all how to do the list one more time. Go to new tag, click on the header, go to new tag. It already has list highlighted because it knew what I wanted to do. And then I'm going to mark everything under it a list. I'm going to highlight it, click on properties, change it from paragraph to list item. Okay. Close, and then move it under that list. And then move this entire list under this header. Okay. So this heading is header 2 actually, because this is an entirely different section in line with tips on creating accessible PDFs. Okay. And the next one is a paragraph. References should be a header 2. And then here, this is something, okay, so this is one way to get rid of spaces. All right, you see these little spaces? So this is not formatted correctly. Everything's in the wrong space. But if it's a document that didn't originate with you, it might be fine. They might have used a different, type of formatting for their references. But there are spaces here, and we don't like those spaces. So you just need to go right click on that space when it pops up, right click, and then delete that tag. And then there's another space. I need to delete that tag. So it's not shifting anything in the document, but what it is doing is removing those spaces. So a screen reader will not read it. It will read one reference and then it will read the next reference and the next, okay? So I do want to show you how to do bookmarks. So I'm not going to finish deleting the rest of those tags. But what I will do is go back to accessibility checker to start it over so you can see that we don't really have any problems over here anymore because we fixed the ones that they catch. But what they don't catch are those spaces, okay? So it doesn't catch everything. Color contrast needs manual check. It's gonna say that, check and see what it's like. Ally will also tell you if color contrast is off, and I will run this through Ally, but I want to show you how to do bookmarks, which is super easy. So click on your bookmark icon over here. And then the easiest way to do it is just highlight this section and then click add bookmark. And it does it for you. Highlight the next section, add bookmark. Mine is moving slow. There. Highlight workshops, add bookmark. And you can move these bookmarks. Let's see. I was able to do it. Okay. You can move the bookmarks to be under a section if you want to. Okay, that's what I just did. But if that's not how you want it, so you can move them around. Tips on creating accessible PDFs. It'll just keep doing it for you. Okay, super easy to add bookmarks and then just move them to whatever they're supposed to go under. I'm gonna check. So the bookmarks function like a table of contents. They're also good for us. So like in the Word document, how we had a navigation area. So it kind of helps in that regard as well when you add bookmarks. You can move throughout the document. You can just use the headings that are already in your document, create like this table of contents, and people, visual and screen readers, people who use screen readers can move throughout the document better. So, but that's how you would do your bookmarks, okay? So now we don't have a lot of time. Do y'all have any questions for me? I can upload, let's see, I already have a class open. I can upload a file. Why is this? Too many things open. Okay, so files. I don't know why this. Actually just want to upload a file. So let me go to my modules. I've been having problems all day. This. I don't know why I'm not able, but I think I have an old one in here. Let's see. I'm trying to get this uploaded and I can't figure out how. It's weird. Okay, well, like you would normally see, I'm going to add a file to this and see if it'll. Oh, it's because it's an old course. I need to go to my actual course. Okay. But I'll be here for a minute. If y'all have questions, feel free to ask. There we go. An upload shows up. I'm going to upload one of these that needs work. And refresh. And then you see the score here. So accessibility checker is going to pull up a lot of the things that we missed, that we need to fix, and we did fix, but it's also like it's telling us we need alt text. So let's see. It's also telling us if you click on it, it'll. Maybe that's the only thing it's picking up. Looks like that's the only thing it's picking up. So what it's not picking up is all the headers and all those kind of things. If I did have headers and I had them in the wrong order, it would tell me. But it doesn't, Ally doesn't pick up everything. Accessibility checker doesn't pick up everything. So you kind of have to use what you know about both and then anything else like with spaces and play around with it. Listen to the document yourself to see what it sounds like. So you know, okay, that's not how I want that read. All right, do y'all have any questions for me? No?
I do have a question. Do we have access to this PDF so we can play with it?
Yeah. Oh, well, I sent you the Word. I can send you the PDF document as well, or the Word document that I gave that I had Allison send out. You could create a PDF.
Turn it to a PDF without fixing it. Okay, got it.
That's what I did. I created a PDF with the one that was correct and then the one that was not correct, so that we could play around with it.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, it will. Any other questions? You're welcome.
Thanks. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly, for sharing more of your expertise with us. It's a lot to learn, but it's really important. So thank you so much for walking us through all of this. I know, again, I took a lot of notes once again, so I'm always learning something new.
So am I. I'm always learning something new, like, especially with, I think next summer I'm gonna spend more time on copyright, because like copyright and accessibility, I think that's the area that's, you know, but Adobe, I mean, there's so many ways, because sometimes reading order doesn't work for you, because I used to be able to go into reading order, change the numbers, you know, tell it to move this around. And lately I haven't been able to do that. I've had to use tags to move things around, but it's good to know how to do it in different ways.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it helps when you're like, that's a space, but I can't do anything for it under this, but I can go here and do something. So
yeah.
In Adobe, if I have an image that doesn't need to be read, do I delete that tag? No, you keep the tag. You go to your, let me share my screen again. So go to wherever the image is. So if I didn't want this image to be read, let's see. No, that's not what now I'm in La La Land. Okay. Oh, I know what I want. Accessibility check to start over. So if you had an image and it showed you that it wasn't passed, like your image didn't pass, whenever we first started, like this image didn't have alt text, if you click on it, you can change it to decorative. What I'm not sure about, let's see. Because I usually do it in the beginning, and let me go to one that might not be correct. Let's see. Where am I thinking?
Hi, Kimberly. This is Kelly who asked that question. I'm not seeing decorative as a drop down for the tagging in my.
Are you in Word or PDF?
I'm at the PDF. I'm in Acrobat.
Okay. So did it say your image didn't have alt text?
No, it's just it has it as a reference.
It has it as a reference?
As a reference. And I'm like, no, I know that's not right.
Okay. Well, you can actually just change the figure. You can change it and put the word figure.
Figure will be okay, even though there's no content there for them to know about.
I would need to see when you click accessibility check, it's not labeling that image as an image on that first page. So if you go to accessibility check and run that, it's going to be another screen that pops up here, right. And it'll look like this, but mine are all fixed.
Okay, I just ran it again.
Okay.
2 issues, pass, needs manual check, pass. Let's see, passed. Okay, there's an alternative text issue on.
And then click the down arrow.
Figure, but it's not highlighting which figure.
So you need to click on it. So click the down arrow first, for alt text, and then for the figure, can you click a down arrow?
Gotcha. There it is.
And then you can, however many you have, you can right click. And when you right click, it should tell you you can add alt text or mark it as decorative.
Okay, right click. Options, right? No.
So it's actually the figure. So under alt text, when you hit the down arrow and it gives you like the different figures.
Figure 1. I see figure 1.
Does it have a down arrow next to it?
It has figures, alternative text failed. I click on the down arrow and figure 1 and figure 2 pop up underneath it.
So on figure 1, right click figure 1.
I get fix, skip rule.
Click on fix.
Fix. That's where I'm missing it. There it is.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. It was that fixed one. I was missing that little step.
Yeah, so you can fix titles and you can fix figures with alt text in this screen alone. Okay. You can also fix them in other screens, but I think it's just easier to fix it here.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.